All right, real quick today, I want to talk about control. And I actually want to talk about 4 devices of control. Listen, when you allow people, places, and things to control you, you can never fully live out your purpose. You'll never really find happiness. You'll never really find peace. You'll never have hope. And actually, man, I mean, to be honest, and people, don't let this spook you out or anything, but when people control you, they're practicing witchcraft. But listen, you can get your freedom back. You can gain control in your life, or allow God to have control in your life. And it really starts by being able to identify the devices that are being used against you. And when I say devices, I can't think of another way to explain, or maybe methods of control. The first one, and many of you, as we talk through this, you're gonna really realize and see, man, like, I've been letting people, places, and things control me. The first one is isolation. And man, this is very applicable to a lot of relationships, and a lot of unhealthy relationships, to be exact and to be precise about. Isolation. When people, places, and things isolate you, that is a form of control. You see, if I can get you alone, right? And I can cut off your access to other people. If I can get you alone and cut off your access to other people, I just made you weak. I just made you weak. When I take away all of your resources and I take away all of your help, not only did I make you weak, but now I'm in control of the environment. Now I'm in control of your resources. I'm in control of what you can and can't get. Beware. I need you to be mindful. I need you to be watching for when people try to isolate you, when they try to pull you to the side, when they try to draw you away from others. Be mindful of that. That's a device of control. Be mindful of that, man. People will try to block you off, seal you off, put you in a box, put you in a cave, and isolate you, to tear you down and to weaken you and to control you, to ultimately control you. You got to be able to identify these devices. Not only is isolation one, because with that isolation, you know what comes next? Regulation is our next method, because once I get you isolated, now it's time for me to set some rules in place. And then I'm gonna govern you and control you by enforcing those rules. Regulation, where, and we see this every day, right? I mean, this we go to work. Guess what? They got rules, they got policy, they got regulations in place. Be mindful of those relationships and those friendships that you get into, where not only do people isolate you and pull you off to the side and get you away from everybody else, but then when they start making a rule for this and a rule for that, and you gotta have permission to do this, and you gotta have allowance to do that. Ooh, that's a dangerous place to be in. My goodness, that's a dangerous place to be in. When you've been isolated and then people start hammering you with a rule for this and a rule for that and a rule for that, man, you on your way to being under control. And I don't like to sound spooky about this, but and matter of fact, I want to see who my audience is. I want to test my audience right here. Do you believe that this is witchcraft at its finest? And it's okay if you disagree. It's okay if you don't, if you think witchcraft is about casting spells and flying on brooms and everything like that, or you think sorcery is about that. But really, and even spells are when words manipulate or control what you think, control your emotions, control how you feel, control your mentality, and control your attitude. That's witchcraft. And so when people are practicing forms of control and methods of control on you, and they're doing it intentionally to conjure you, intentionally to bring the worst out of you, or intentionally to weaken you and leave you powerless, you're around some people that's practicing witchcraft. And it's important to know that folks practicing it and don't know it. People are practicing and don't know it. So we got isolation, we got regulation, and then I actually said the other one. It's manipulation. Yeah, manipulation. This is like controlling the chaos. Manipulation is when a person who trying to be in control begins to get creative. They get creative and they try to construct and masterpiece and try to be try to you know what they call it, the puppet master. They try to use you as a puppet to manipulate you and you know what? Let me say this to trigger you. Let me do that to make you feel this way. And now I'm controlling you and I'm shifting you. And so now I'm all right. So I got you isolated. I regulated you. And now it's time for me to play mind games with you. You got to stay. You got to be able to identify these situations, man. You got to be able to identify these situations. And look, man, listen, this happens. And this is why I say people, places, and things, because this happens in so many different places, in relationships, in friendships, in partnerships, in and on and off the job. And listen, there are forms and ways of control that are good, that are healthy, right? Because we ought to have some type of boundaries, right? We ought to have some type of regulation, right? Sometimes isolation is good, but you have to identify what is healthy for you and what is not. All right, I want you to get your liberty back, man. I'm ready to see you get your life back. Manipulation. People will try to shame you and make you feel guilty. People will try to play mind games, manipulation, and make you feel some type of way, intentionally and on purpose. And usually these people are charismatic, they're wise. You know, I say people, places, and things because, you know, drugs do this to you, right? And maybe you haven't experienced it, but you've watched drugs control and take over somebody's life. Lastly, it's deception. Deception. Trickery. Don't be deceived. Don't be fooled. It is my prayer that you have discernment. That you have discernment and God gives you judgment to know what is good for you. That you become conscious and aware of your environment and whether you're being isolated or not, and whether it's healthy for you or not, of any regulation that's coming in place, and whether these rules and standards and policies or whatever these allowances, whatever these boundaries are for you, are they healthy for you? I pray that you have judgment and discernment to be able to know, you know, is a person manipulating me? Because when a person starts controlling what you believe about yourself and what you believe about your life and what you believe about your purpose, they got their hooks in you. And I pray that you have discernment to be able to tell the real from the fake, to be able to tell when people really do have passion and when people really do care. Look, we had our 10 minutes today. It is my prayer that you allow God to take control, because he ain't gonna harm you. Because he's got all power and he's able. It's my prayer. Ask God to let you allow you to gain healthy control of your life. I pray that God is the greatest influence over your life and you discover your purpose. Get in control. stay in control. Thank you.